Welcome to Amy Learns to Cook. I'm Eric, and on today's show, I'm going to roast a turkey breast. Now, turkey breasts are great to cook when you don't want to have a ton of leftovers, when you only have like a few people to cook for, or maybe you just prefer white meat over dark meat. But in any case, they're really easy to make, and I'm going to cook mine with aromatic vegetables and some fresh herbs, so it's going to have some really tasty drippings, and then I'm going to show you how to make a really good gravy that's going to go over some mashed potatoes. So I want you to join me as I make my roasted turkey breast. Now this turkey breast is a frozen one that we thawed out the other day in the refrigerator, of course. And because it has a 15% solution in there, I normally would brine my turkeys, especially because it helps keep the breast nice and moist. Or you could just put salt on them. That's another method to help them stay really moist. But in this case, I don't want to over mushify it and everything and make it too salty. So this is what we got here, and it's almost a 7-pound breast. They come in different sizes. We saw one that was like 10 pounds, and I'm thinking that'd be way too big for me and Amy. So I think this one will be good. This one has the bone in it and everything, so I think that'll add some decent flavor. So what we're going to do is we're going to rip this open, rinse it out really good, trim off any excess stuff that's garbage, and then we'll pat it dry. And then we'll get started on it. Captain Beaky's looking a little nervous, isn't he? Every Thanksgiving, he's got to come out and see, does he get the knife or do we spare him? Come on, Beaky, we're going to spare you this year. Now, take off. Come on, take off. You don't listen very well, do you? You're just like somebody else around here, I know. So I've already have cleaned this out, took out of the bag and everything, and this is what you see. It's basically, I don't know, everything but the dark meat. It's got both breasts, right there. It's going to have the bone in the middle. It's got all this bone material in the back. We're going to plunk this in with a bunch of vegetables, and it's going to come out awesome. So first step we got to do is we got to dry off a lot of this moisture, because that's going to cause the bird to steam, and steam doesn't really brown all that well. So we're just going to go ahead and pat this dry, and then we're going to go ahead and get our vegetables going. One thing I do want to mention is anytime you handle the bird, you need to wash your hands when you go from doing one task to another. You don't want it to spread the bacteria. You also want to be food safe, so keep the bird at or below 40 degrees Fahrenheit until you're ready to cook it. And then of course when we cook it, we're going to cook it till it's done, right? And now I'm going to make a compound butter using the fresh herbs. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add 1 stick or 1/4 pound of butter. This is salted, so I'm just not going to add any salt to it. I am going to add some pepper to it. Ultimately, we're going to season and taste later, but for right now, it's probably a good amount, right? I've got some freshly ground sage, so I'm going to go ahead and put in a couple of teaspoons worth. I think I minced or chopped or whatever, a little too much of that. Amy was scared. And then this is thyme, also fresh, and this is probably good as it is. There's about 2 teaspoons there as well. And then we got parsley, and I'm just going to go ahead and add a bunch of that. I don't know, big old handful. The idea is with the compound butter is the spices you add to the butter flavor the butter. So the butter tastes good on its own, right? Right. And then if you add spices to it, you get that in there too. And then that way when we apply this to the turkey, it's all going to be on there at once rather than having to apply this stuff multiple times, right? Okay, we're going to be adding the aromatic vegetables to the pan next here. So what I have is some, I don't know, Spanish onions. They're not the sweet ones, they're just regular ones. And I did a kind of a thick cut on them, so I just peeled them and sliced them kind of thick. We're gonna be putting the bird on these things, so this will be a lot of flavor, right? And just base them, I guess. Ultimately with these aromatics, we're gonna be removing these when we remove the bird. So we're not gonna be like feeding ourselves with these. These are only for the purpose of flavoring the bird and also adding to the drippings for the gravy. I also have about 3 medium large carrots that I skinned and then I chopped up, you know, into decent sized chunks. Nothing horrific here. Once again, I want something easy to get out. If we minced them up, then it'd be a mess, right? So it's kind of easy. So we're just gonna, I don't know, throw them in here. I also have some celery that I also did something similar. So celery, of course, you know, you gotta clean it really good, cut off parts that are all dirty and stuff. And I only took maybe 4 stalks, maybe. So I have maybe 4 stalks of the celery in here that I got. Oh yeah, garlic, can't forget garlic. So got about 4 medium cloves in here. Once again, skinned them, they're in here whole. They're not gonna do anything crazy. And then lastly, I got an orange. So I just went ahead and quartered it. Once again, it's in here. It's gonna add some flavor and stuff. And then lastly, we're gonna go ahead and add a little bit of pepper to this. I'm not gonna put salt in here because we are gonna add chicken stock in a minute. And that's gonna have its own salt, so I don't wanna get too powerful. I think this should be good for right now. All right, the fun part. All this stuff is smelling really great because we got all this stuff creating nice little fumes that are like pretty. And then of course, this stuff here is really nice. So we're almost ready to put in the oven. So let's go ahead and put the bird on the thing here with all the veggies. We're going to go skin up. And then what I want to do is I do want to get some of this butter. I want to get it under the skin here. So what I'm going to do here is just take my finger here. Yeah. We're not ripping through the skin, but we're creating like a little hole. You can see my finger right there. And we're just creating a little separation there, making it loose. And then what we can do is we can get some of this butter in there, at which point it'll melt, obviously, and get some flavoring there. And we're going to do the other side here. It's a good amount of fat right here, I can kind of see on the skin here, just between the skin and the meat. So it kind of makes it a little slippery there. Separating some. Let's go and grab some more. Cram it down in there real good. So that's good. So that's good. We're going to take a lot of this butter here and kind of like massage the outside here. All right, one of the last few steps here is we got to add 1 cup of chicken broth stock, turkey stock, whatever you have. You can also use a wine if you'd like. I'm going to go with stock instead. So we're just going to go ahead and add this. And for this particular pan, it gives us maybe 1/4 of an inch at the bottom. To cook this thing, I like using a meat probe. Now a lot of times people will cook for an hour, hour and a half, however long you want, or if you got a really small breast, maybe 30 minutes, and then probe it near the end. I like to actually put a probe in while it's raw, then that way I don't have so many holes in here. Maverick thermometer here, it's wireless, and then of course it has its buddy, which I'll sync up in a minute. So right now, I don't want to hit bones, but I do want to get it into a thick part of the breast here. So let's go ahead and hook it through there, and that seems like it's reasonably in there. And we'll obviously monitor it. And of course it is coming down in temperature here. It's showing 52 degrees and dropping, which is accurate because the meat isn't 68 degrees, right? That's room temperature. So right now we got this guy on, and he's reading. Of course this thing now is showing it's reading as 48 degrees, which is accurate. Lamb, pork, chicken. Chicken's close enough. And I don't quite want it to go off at 180. That's a little too high for me. Amy might be happy with that. Oops. Oh, turkey. Still, they got that thing. I don't know. I think I want to be alarmed around 165. So we got that guy set right. So we're good. So let's go ahead and get this in the oven. We have the oven set for 350. This thing can take anywhere from an hour, maybe an hour and a half. It just depends, right? Every animal is different. So we'll be back when it's ready. Okay, the turkey breast came out of the oven. We ended up cooking it for just a little bit over 90 minutes until it registered 165 degrees, and then we probed it a few spots, and it was accurate. So we're ready to take it out. So the first thing I'm going to do here, oh, and we let it rest for about maybe 10 minutes. I just put a piece of foil over it, and then we're going to pop this guy out. That baby, tasty. Yum, yum. And we're going to go ahead and take all the stuff out now. So I'm just going to discard all these things, but we're going to keep the juice. Okay, so now we're ready to pour this into the fat separator here. And this thing has a strainer on top, which should help keep some of this meat and stuff out. All right, so the fat separator is going to separate the juices from the bird, and obviously the fat from the bird and the fat from the butter and stuff. So we're going to give this a few minutes. The fat should rise to the surface, and then we can go ahead and pour this out and put it back in the pan, and then we can make our gravy. Okay, so now we have the turkey drippings in there, and minimize the fat getting in there, I hope. I'm just going to go ahead and mix up about a cup and a half of chicken broth. Anything, once again, chicken broth, chicken stock, turkey stock, whatever you have, and about a heaping tablespoon of all-purpose flour. 2 tablespoons wouldn't hurt, just probably affect maybe how fast it thickens. Cornstarch would also work. I think cornstarch, you can probably get away with a little less of that. And obviously, now the idea is I'm mixing this in cold liquid, so that way, like any other kind of a cornstarch or flour slurry for thickening purposes. I just want to go ahead and show this. Stir it up until it's and I got this on kind of a medium heat. I can probably turn up a little bit. And then, because it's going to want to reach like a simmer, like a kind of like a boil, and then that's when the thickening tends to kick in. Okay, it looks like this is thickened up kind of nicely. I'm gonna put a couple pinches of salt in here to make things a little happy, and we're going to put a little pepper in there to make things happy, right? That's what we do, make things happy. Just gonna stir it up. So it's been cooking here for, I don't know, 5 minutes or so, just coming up to a little bit of a bubble. And then I just turned the heat off because I don't want to have it reduce anymore. So I think it's looking all pretty. And Amy, of course, was nice enough to provide this gravy boat. So we will. And now for the fun part, right? Well, the fun part's actually eating it, but looking at the food. And what's beautiful about this gravy is we don't really have any lumps in here. Lumps, obviously, are not a fun thing. Therefore, it's not part of our show, right? So, as long as you're really careful with how you mix your thickener, whether you use cornstarch or flour, that should help with what you got to do, right? So the only difference between this turkey breast and a regular turkey is you would have had to remove all the dark meat to get to this point. So all that has been saved. So the location of the bones are in the same place, right? This is always the fun part. It either goes good or bad. But anyways, so there should be a bone down the middle here somewhere. And if I hit it, then I'll just go to the side of it. My goal is to take off one of these breasts, at least for now, right? I mean, that looks pretty nice there. All right, let's go ahead and, I don't know, hack down here. This is where I have no liability for your outcome here. So hopefully this is a guide. And we're good there. There's no bone there, but we are hitting the bone right there. So we're gonna have to go around it. And getting around it right there. So this brush should come off. There we go. And you can see how juicy it is. We have a little bit of our spice and stuff in there. So that's all good. All right, the moment we've all been waiting for, right? Taste test. Well, first of all, mashed potatoes and gravy is always good, so I gotta hit that, right? Gravy smooth, got a lot of flavor. Mashed potatoes, which we'll probably cover on another episode, came out outstanding. The turkey, make sure you use a sharp knife, right? He was cringing. Not that she's worried about me cutting myself, but she's worried about me ruining her plate. Turkey's moist, good texture, not too mushy, not rubbery at all. Got really good flavor. For not brining, this actually turned out pretty good. I'm always a proponent of brining, especially lean meats like pork or turkey or chicken breast, but it was injected, so good. The whole cooking method we did also was probably conducive to keeping it moist. So I give this a 2 thumbs up. You eat this. Amy's already sampled this off camera and she's pretty much greedy. And she'd be back there yelling at me if this wasn't good. So, you have any fine words back there, Boo Boo? No, that's a happy wife back there. Not that she's not happy that I'm eating this big old hat thing on my head, but It's Turkey Day coming up. Come on, we gotta be happy, right? Well, cheers. If you like this video, please subscribe below, give us a thumbs up and a like, and go out to our website, amylearnstocook.com, and we're also on Pinterest and Twitter at Amy Learns to Cook. We're running out of mashed potatoes, boo!
Don't eat them all.
Or a possible future show will be some homemade French fries with gravy. Ooh, did I let the cat out of the bag, boo? Do I get 3 wishes? Do I get 3 wishes?